Hello, everyone, and welcome to the American Scouser podcast. Monday night, we are back in action. Only two of us today. No Bickler. He's traveling somewhere, so heads up wherever you're at. Just look over your shoulder just in case he's in your city. I think he's down south, actually, in Florida, helping his dad and stuff like that. So I am here, as always, your host, Timuchin, in a very nice spring startup kind of a day over here in Chicago. Was outside in and getting the yard over the time. I don't know what this is. If this is a golden retriever thing, please people tell me, or it's just like a dog thing. But I don't know if your guy does this. Every time they go outside, they take a toy with them. So, and they have a bazillion toys over the years because the girls went overboard and Christmases, and we used to be in this club that would send like freaking toys every month until I was like, that's it, we're done, because we can't move from toys over here. And that was only Stitch, mind you. And then Leo came around, and yeah, so we were actually just picking up the toys because there's literally 100 toys outside, you know, that melted after the snow was gone and stuff. So we were doing that. It was like a nice day over there. But yes, spring is around the corner. How was life over where you're at?
Yeah, I gotta say, I can't complain. He takes toys outside with him, but he knows there's a few toys. Like if he brings it outside, I won't let it come back in. And I think he gets to the door sometimes and knows like, ah, shit, I can't bring this one with me. And he like drops it right at the door and then runs outside. What he likes to do a lot more is he likes to bring outside toys in, like, you know, pine cones.
Oh, non-toys, yeah.
Yeah, non-toys that you don't want to find. Like I actually went into the bathroom one night, sat down on the toilet and put my foot down and stepped on like the most crunchy pine cone. I literally thought my foot was gonna like be bleeding out from the bottom.
Wait, what is he doing in the bathroom?
Well, he has one level, and we don't shut the bathroom door. I will say I'm very lucky with the fact he doesn't drink toilet water. He stopped eating toilet paper. Like he's progressed to being
evolving
just a slight pain in the ass. But no, we had 60 plus degrees today. So it was very, very nice. Felt like a nice day out there. You know, it was a good weekend. My mother-in-law was here visiting me and Kelly. And I will say, hi, Debbie. My mother-in-law is an avid viewer of the show. She watches the first, as she can deal with her son-in-law. She watches the first 10 minutes of every episode. So she gets weather updates, pleasantries, what crazy thing happened to Bickler on Monday, a little trivia, and then, as she would say, and then you guys get into that stuff I don't understand, so I get out. But what that means, people, is when Timuchin says grab anyone you know and drag them by the ear over to like, subscribe to this channel, everyone is a potential viewer of this channel, unless you're on X, because clearly X is still not working at this moment today, because we are not streaming live on X right now, because X has had its struggles. And I will say, for being the first day of NFL free agency, it was not a day for X to go down, because some people were waiting.
Of that.
People were waiting a long time for media updates that they were used to getting 10 minutes before ESPN would tell them about it.
Yeah, I know. Like this morning, there was a problem. Maybe Musk is doing some cutbacks over there too. I was saying this morning that's why they're not running. Mr. B is in the house. Even London has seen, which is a rare sight. But man, like when I always say this, like when I was in London, I think we were talking with Macca during the watch along actually about the weather, like over in UK. I never thought that would get to me as somebody originally from Istanbul and like Mediterranean weather and stuff like that. But the gray eventually does get to you. It does get kind of depressing. Like you're like, oh, it's rainy again and stuff. But like, you know, the nicest people in UK, like the politest and stuff like that, you realize even more when you come to the US, no offense. But they're as polite as can be in like UK and London and stuff like that, especially for a big city in London. And the thing is, when it was sunny, everybody was like 5 times nicer and happier sometimes, if that was at all possible. Because it's not I mean, Mr. B knows it's not a common sight to get that, especially all day without any rain sprinkled in there. So, yeah, I remember those days. That was like, oh, the sun is out.
I will say I talked to quite a few folks, and you know, I've gotten quite a few different people into the sport over the last 2 years, and every one of them that starts watching, they all mention to me how much they didn't realize how much it rained until
Yeah.
they started watching these midday afternoon football matches with me, and they're like, "Oh, it's raining." And then when they zoom in and you see the sheer amount coming down, they're just like, "It's like this every day. How aren't they all on suicide watch?" And I'm like, "I don't want to poke fun at that, but I know what you mean."
Yeah, and honestly, like, I mean, you know, people over there are obviously used to it. I'm sure people in like Seattle and stuff are used to it. I mean, I'm not like, you couldn't pay me to carry an umbrella around. I'm just too lazy. I can barely carry myself around, so I'm not going to carry an umbrella. But I remember, like, especially when I first got there, like, you're walking down the streets and it will be like, you'll be like a nice, beautiful day. You're like, oh, it's nice. Like, even if I was going to carry an umbrella, I would never even freaking like think about it because of the weather. And then suddenly it will rain, like it will start pouring. And then dude was like, zoop, zoop, zoop. Everybody like, and then you're like in the middle of a street where there's like 100 people, 99 of them have umbrellas, and you don't, because everybody was already prepared for this mess, and you were not, kind of a deal. But yeah, good old days. It's been a long time since that was college, for God's sakes. But yeah, it'll rain. I mean, dude, it's like 24/7. Ryan says when I lived in Colorado, Ryan was in Colorado too. He's all over the place, man. Sunshine over. See, that gets, I don't know. I need a little bit of each. Trust me, I'm not happy with Chicago weather, but I need a little bit of each. There has to be a little bit of snow, a little bit of rain, a little bit of sunshine and stuff like that. But most importantly, it is time, as we all know. It's that time of week. Just because Bickler isn't here doesn't mean we can't play the song, right? Hold on. Let me get the song over here. Right, set the mood. Do the trivia. I actually got like a. Here we go. This actually, like, BJ is really spoiling me, sending me multiple questions now where I get my pick and stuff like that. So let's go with this one right here. Goal scoring by Liverpool players in Champions League matches. Mo has the most, 45. Second is Gerard with 30. Name 5 other former players that have scored at least 10 in the Champions League.
Oh,
For Liverpool, mind you. This is good. This is easy. This you can get. I guarantee you should easily be able to get 3 out of the 5, and then I'll start helping you.
so it's 5 total Liverpool players, and you've already removed the one answer I'd get, which is Steven Gerrard.
Yeah, these are former players have scored more than 10 in the Champions League. Is the trivia song was part? We probably should put that there, right? There's a Christmas version. It might even come up with like an album, like America's Scouser Trivia or something like that. I should get on that. I should get on that and get that album out.
One of them's got to be Sadio Mane.
Sadio Mane is one. Actually, he is third in line, 24.
Yep. I saw that one come through from Mr. B.
Torres?
Yeah, I'm gonna hold off before I throw that one out there, but I do think about
in your
that.
back pocket.
Yeah, I just saw that one come in. I was gonna guess Bobby purely because of the sheer volume of matches that he played. I assumed he scored 10.
Yes, he is actually, well, I guess he'd be 4th. He has 23 goals, 1 behind Sadio.
It's amazing he had 23 Champions League goals.
But it's crazy that these 3, I guess we weren't there. Like, we were very, I mean, we had some really,
we were in it
shit decades where we didn't make it up there. But like, just read that trio being, that's ridiculous. That Mo 45, Sadio 24, Bobby 23.
So there's now and how far back are we counting? Like European?
We're talking Champions League only.
Yeah. So when does the Champions League start?
I don't know, man. Too many questions. I ask the questions around here. I have the trivia.
Well, that's true. This Bickler's job to ruin trivia with questions.
Yeah. Thanks for filling in for Bickler with answering trivia question with questions. I think you would get this one. A guy who scores goals, pops in all over the place, just scores goals here and there. Just scrappy goals.
Dirk Kuyt.
Yes, Kuyt was one of them. He has 12.
And this is the type of player I was trying to think about. You know what I mean? Like, that was the scrappy goal guy.
Yeah, Mr. B is right. He did get the most important.
He did not get 10. He did not get 10 important ones, but he made some important ones. You're right.
If he stuck around, man, we would have gotten 10 important ones too. But
two more. Are we talking? Give me a hint here. Am I going back into the Dirk Kuyt years, or are we?
Yeah, are you going that far? You're going far.
Yeah.
Let's say he'd be a virgin if he wasn't playing soccer.
Be a virgin?
He'd be a virgin if he wasn't playing soccer. Isn't that his quote? Am I misquoting him?
Oh, who is the ugly bastard?
Tall as can be.
Oh, it was Peter Crouch.
Peter Crouch has 11 goals.
And by the way, he probably, it's a lie, he wouldn't be a virgin, because anyone who's ever heard about, you know, the unit itself, he didn't need to play soccer to make it. And last but not least,
this dude shows up on ESPN, I think. God knows it's not Steve Nichols, but
no. ESPN. Hutch. I don't know. That one that one's gonna piss me off when you tell me.
He has 10, which I was actually shocked to find out about that one. Luis Garcia has 10.
That would have been the one that I could have named 50 things. There would be a better chance if you had said Sangria, and then I would have said Garcia.
I would not have gotten that one. I think, I could have given you another 15, 20 guesses. I don't think you're guessing that, because I was shocked to hear that, he was actually on that.
I'll take getting 3.5 with Peter Crouch. I'll take that all day, any day. That's more than I thought I was going to get.
That's more than Victor would have ever gotten.
So Fernando Torres came nowhere near it, because he just didn't. He came like right at the end of the runs in the Champions League, or did he just not? Surprising to me that he didn't have 10 goals in the Champions League for Liverpool.
I'm assuming because of that. Like, it wasn't Champions League at the time.
Yeah.
It's probably why. It was what was it called before Champions League?
The European Cup.
There was the Winners' Cup. I remember that.
Cup Winners' Cup.
It was the UEFA Cup. What was the other one called? I can't remember now. That's pretty bad. Can't even remember before Champions League. It looks like we're young or something. Like, well, I don't even know what it was called before. No, it's just that I can't remember what it was called before. Okay, let's do some housekeeping over here first before we go. If you're watching us right now, do hit that thumbs up and like and all that kind of stuff. If you have not subscribed, do that as well while you're at it. This is our latest and current schedule. Some changes in there you will see. The morning coffee show is going back to Monday, Wednesday, Friday mornings. So you'll be saved from my ugly mug on Tuesday and Thursday mornings moving forward. Obviously, we're on right now. The Premier League panel show goes on Tuesday. These are our live shows, though. Your guys' Premier League show that you do with Bickler usually gets published Tuesday, with clips coming out throughout the week as well. And Thursday night podcast is where we gather all the bald people of American Scouser and throw them in one show. So those guys are on every Thursday night at 8 p.m. And obviously on the weekends or any match day, and we do the watch alongs as well. Those kind of get announced on the fly over there. We did the watch along yesterday for United Arsenal. Fun watch along, even though the game was not fun, but we had a lot of reps doing that and stuff. Yeah, it was kind of like an ugly game, but the result was good. I also didn't want to do this. I know it's not going to be the but I did see this right before we went on air in the Liverpool US fan group, which is usually a group where you go to just shake your head. But this is I just saw this someone in the group who's a regular actually posted it for somebody else who's a regular. So Liverpool fans in the U.S. Just had a tragedy in their family. They did lose their son to an accident. And actually, I was talking to Travis in direct messaging after I commented and told him that, I wanted to get there okay. Obviously, I mean, I'm sure they wouldn't mind, but you always want to make sure that we would share the link for the GoFundMe they have set up for it. And he was actually mentioning that they lost their niece a few years ago, and they are actually we're in the process of starting a nonprofit and was going to get it off the ground actually this summer. So hopefully we'll get with them during the summer and promote it as well. But I am going to put the link in here. It turns out to be like a ridiculous link. Let's do it this way. Because that's going to be obnoxious. So let me throw it in the link. So it's in our Facebook Live as well as on the YouTube page. So if you want to click whatever you can donate, already looks like a lot of people have chipped in, but whatever you can chip in, I know times are not the easiest for everybody, but do what you can. It does not, make things a lot better when you have like a tragedy like that, but at least it kind of like takes away a little bit of the financial burden, Gally, because I can only imagine the pain. So the least we can do on our end is kind of help out with the part that we can help out with.
Yeah, anything that people can do. If you can give $1, $5, if you can give more than that, that's great. I mean, at the end of the day, we all talk about this community being bigger than just football and what Liverpool means, and that it's more, and you see the stories from the club when it's, whether it's, the kids that are with terminal illnesses and the way the players rally around them or the way that the club supports them. This is like one of your own. It would be like going down to the pub every weekend and getting to know someone and then having to know that they're going through something like this. So if you can help in any way, the smallest amount will go a long way. And sometimes, I hate to say it, the $5 or $10 won't go as far as just the positive feeling that they can get knowing that strangers are willing to care for them and help with what they're going through, right? I can't imagine what they're going through. But I have to imagine that each and every level of gratitude, of help and support is something that they accept as gratitude and something that would only help them in the long road to healing.
And I mean, that's a great point, actually. So when you turn around and look, and at least you kind of feel a level of support, like I say, nothing you donate in terms of financial can, ease the pain and the loss and stuff like that. But at least you're taking one burden away. So do what you can. I mean, we try to use our powers for the good as much as possible over here in American Scouser. Obviously, we do the fundraiser. We're going to be doing it again this year. We raised $5,000 last year, hoping for a lot more this year for the Jamie Carragher Foundation. That goes to several causes like this. Basically, most of them, honestly, a lot of them are in the UK because it's the Jamie Carragher Foundation. But I know they did a few. Some of the money we did collect actually went to a couple of causes in Canada and stuff like that too. So they do donate like, worldwide. But anything we can do to kind of like use our powers for the good as much as we can, we are all for. So do what you can. I did see it, like I say, right before we went on air. Otherwise, like nothing planned or anything. Otherwise, I would have shared it this morning. But we'll probably do it as much as we can throughout the week and bring it up so that people can do what they can and like just kind of like help out a family. It's a terrible time. I think you make a great point there. I think seeing a support is always, doesn't matter the level of support. Any support is a good support kind of a deal. So I want to get that done in terms of the housekeeping. The last thing I did want to mention is I did share the schedule earlier. There's a lot of stuff coming your way from us over here in terms of new programming for like the Premier League and stuff like that. A lot of stuff for the site as well. So we will use the international break to kind of like focus on that stuff and try to start introducing them some supers and stuff coming on your way on YouTube, so we can kind of like scale back on the advertising and stuff like that altogether, hopefully, if we are able to do that.
I gotta ask you because we're going into international break soon before we get into it, because I know we got a busy week here with PSG and then of course the League Cup final to preview. But the announcement today that Turkey would be traveling to the United States to play the U.S. men's national team this summer. Did you see that?
No, I did not. Where are they coming? Where are they going? Like friendly kind of a thing, I assume?
I'm assuming it's a friendly because it is. I'm assuming it is
for some shit.
It's even closer to me. I think it's pretty much in like Hartford, Connecticut.
Really? Yeah, it shows June 7th. I did not know, to be honest with you.
It got announced today, and I think what it is the U.S. men's national team has the Gold Cup, which is their last kind of form of real competition that's not really competition before the World Cup. So they've invited a few teams to come over and help them get ready, and Turkey is one of them. So I mean, your boys are coming. Your boys are coming here. I have two parts to this. Your boys are coming here, and while my mother-in-law was here on Friday night, her and my wife went to a Turkish restaurant in my town that I didn't even know existed, and Kelly was able to order off the menu because of our afternoon.
Look at that.
I'm not even kidding. She actually said, someone ordered that Turkish pizza, and I said, oh, it's better than pizza. That was my wife's exact statement.
That's
but I guess it's, I know I read about it. I'm going to get you the menu. It actually looks semi-authentic, almost like the menu we ate off of and the type of stuff. So I'll send you the menu for your Turkish eyes to peruse for approvals. But yeah, so if you were looking for a reason,
some shit on there, I will snap.
If you were looking for a reason to come, out northeast in June, you can get Turkish food. There's 2 Turkish restaurants and the Turkish soccer team within 45 minutes. That's more than they have in Istanbul at this point.
Ryan says, I knew that. Yeah, when we, so that you guys know the context, after we did the American Scouts are Petting Zoo, when we got together for the United's Liverpool game here in Chicago, because Gally was in town, Bickler was in town and stuff. Gordo, Mateusz, Ryan joined us. So we went to a Turkish restaurant afterwards. And then, yeah, when the menu came in, these guys looked like it was like in Chinese, like even they acted like they didn't recognize the alphabet, for God's sakes. But I didn't manage to order. I might have ordered a bit too much food. I felt like we didn't even get to eat main course.
We didn't get the entrees. You just ordered because you ordered the whole menu. You ordered 2 of some things. But it was excellent.
That's for sure. I think I did order actually like a type of pita as well. The lahmacun is the one he's referring to, the pizza. Damn, you got me hungry, man. I usually eat after the podcast. This is not helping the cause. Okay, let's talk about the weekend real quick. That freaking first half, is that more on the team going out there thinking what unfortunately most fans were thinking, this is going to be a walk in the park, and then we stumbled over a rock? And the first half lands as 1 goal down with a comedy of a goal to boot.
So I don't think they played well in the first half. I don't think that's a stretch of the imagination, right? I'm not sure. I think you could really rack your head, and it would be hard to come up with a player where you're like, oh, he was balls in the first half. No one was good. But I think sometimes that happens when, no one's good, everybody looks bad.
Yes.
I think there was a little bit of complacency, but I don't think it was all down to we just overlooked this team, because that Southampton team was not some juggernaut. They didn't look like vintage Man City, but they didn't look like the Southampton team that looked like they should be playing in League One either. And I think there's something to be said for every once in a while, when you're at the top like we are. I almost felt like in some ways they came out and played that first half like it was a cup final for them. Like they were giving everything. I thought they were defending well. The other thing that I think was a huge kind of like you have to chalk it up is I think the head injury and how long of a break after Bednarik is down.
Yeah.
It was Bednarik, right? That got hurt.
Yeah, Bednarik. Yeah, he was out. That was like 5 minutes or so.
It was 5 to 7 minutes, and it was almost 2 at one point, like where like it gets to that eerie point where you start to like worry about the health of the opponent. And I think sometimes that's when players like really disconnect from like the plan, because I felt like the next 10 minutes after the injury, both sides were mediocre. But let's be honest, the goal, absolute joke.
Cluster.
And I mean, it's a joke. I mean, we can laugh about Virgil not clearing it, Ali not grabbing it. Gravenberch literally, like, I think someone is just now telling Gravenberch they're about to take a throw in. Because he's not even like, he's like looking up. I think he was looking for Arne Slot to give him some kind of direction from the press box. He's just like, Konate's flat-footed, lets the guy run right past him. Like, it's a really, really bad one. And it is funny, like 5 minutes or 2 minutes before, Virgil has that play where he like lets the ball roll out and he like ushers it out. And it's almost like in his mind, he's like, oh, same thing's going to happen. And then it doesn't happen. Then he's like, Allie's going to grab it. Then he doesn't grab it. And I know, like, I saw people wanting a foul. I saw some people saying the Southampton player touched it and the other guy's standing in an offside position. Listen, if we need that goal chalked off, when you concede that goal, you deserve to give up 2, let alone 1, people. Like,
yeah,
but to me,
I know the foul thing. I was like, come on. I mean, that was not like, I think that's when you're like almost desperate, where like you really screw up and you turn to VAR and you're like, help. Like, it was like nothing there. I mean, I know he's not coming, but I mean, he has the right to be there. He doesn't have to just like disappear into thin air. Brian says we showed him too much respect. I actually think it's the complete opposite. I almost felt like we wanted him to have the ball, right? Because Southampton likes to get themselves in trouble. So it was almost like, here, take it. And then maybe we can like win it in the press. I thought the press was so naive, where we were waiting for him to screw up. We're like, oh, they're going to screw up anyway, kind of an ordeal where, you know, like how you play like people, like if you're like your teens, you play like, you know, people, you're like, yeah, I guess we'll play you like your little brother and his team and stuff. I remember like we used to play like my brother's teams, you know, like with my friends and stuff like that. And they're kind of like taking it easy on you, but then they take it to a point where they take it a little bit too easy, where you're like, starting to do really well, and they're like, whoa, what is going on here? Because it almost like things that we would not do, I hope to God we do not do tomorrow, for example, where we were like gambling. When we were pressing, we were gambling. We're like, he's gonna pay it, you know, pass it there. And if it didn't go there, now you're totally out of position, like very undisciplined. There's a bunch of like 6 Nunez's pressing almost, like, you know, just very undisciplined, non-positional like pressing. And I think that kind of got us in trouble. I think we kind of like did not respect them enough on the ball. And then the longer you keep him, I mean, they came out there like damage control too, I think a little bit, the more they're in the game. And then especially, I almost feel like we always talk about this. I think they scored too early. Like, if they don't score and poke the bear, I don't even know if we wake up the way we wake up. But I want to ask you that, because if it was just a matter of people being asleep, I think in the second half we would see, we were talking about this with Mateusz this morning, like a club would normally be like, you know, go out there and make it right. Like, go out there and play like how we were supposed to play starting from the first minute. The fact that Slots makes those changes, is that because he's seeing something that he got wrong as well? Or is he like pinpointing those guys as being the problem guys? Like, how do you take it that he made changes as well when we came out the second half?
Well, I think the goal, I think Slot knew he might be criticized for not rotating enough, because people wanted more rotation. They wanted different rotation. Let's be real, right? There were people that said, let's play Endo. You know, I don't think anyone was surprised to see Nunez and Tsimikas start.
Yep.
I don't think that was, you know what I mean, right? Like, nobody expected that to be different.
Yep.
I think people expected maybe to see Endo get a start, especially if you weren't going to start McAllister, right? Like, you start Endo in the match. I think, you know, I'm at the point now where Gravenberch's going to play every minute till he dies. Like, I just feel like the manager is kind of
collapses on the pitch.
That's just what's going to happen. What I think I saw in the match and what kind of jumped out at me is Tsimikas comes off at halftime, and I think the manager uses, well, he was on a yellow card, as a nice way to say, I had to get him off before he cost us any more in the match.
Yeah.
And then to be fair to the manager, right? Robertson was outstanding in the second half.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, that whole left side, the entire first half, was abysmal. because I thought Diaz put in one of the worst 45 minutes I've seen from him in a long time.
Really?
The first half. I thought he was
Still.
better in the second half. I thought he was just okay in the first half, and I thought Gravenberch was like kind of out to lunch almost the entire match that he played, to be honest. He seemed off the ball to me. I don't think Jones was as bad as it was made out. I didn't think Jones was as bad in the first half. I still question whether or not there isn't a world where Jones was taken off, because the plan was always for Jones to play 45 minutes, because Jones may play tomorrow against PSG. I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah, I was wondering how much of that was pre-planned, how much of that was this is sucking over here kind of a deal, because of like the way he's subject, like we need these legs come Tuesday. So it was already going to happen regardless of the score.
That was what I was wondering, because to me, if you look at Jones's numbers, he was in possession. He didn't really turn the ball over. He was making really good runs in the box.
Out of the midfield, I
thought he was the best player.
He was one of the best ones, because at least he was the only one actually winning balls, it felt like.
Now, I will say, I do think that the introduction of McAllister did exactly what Slot wanted. It got us, we had our foot on the ball. We had control of the midfield. I thought that the playing Elliott out wide and playing Mo in the 10 hole for a while and then making them interchange, I thought was really good, because at times it was almost like Nunez in the second half was playing like two up top with four different players. He was playing two up top with Diaz at times. He was playing two up top with Mo. He's playing two up top with, and let's be real, Paul's been saying this since he was at Benfica and we were talking about buying him. He is best in a two-striker formation where he plays the little flicks to other strikers, the ball's around the edge, he makes runs. He's not an out-and-out number 9 center forward, point of the sphere type of striker. And I thought in the second half you saw a lot better from Nunez. Forget the petulance of the first half. We can talk about that if there's time. But I think one thing that gets overlooked is we all talked about how they got knocked out of the match against Plymouth. And that was the best thing for this side. And though I think the rest helped, it might have also helped if they had had a match last weekend in the FA Cup. So Simicast got another run out there. So you could have gave more legs, because there looked to me like guys who looked really rusty and weren't in the flow of it. And nobody looked worse, in my opinion, than Simicast. And I think this is almost proving exactly why, outside of that pass that Kirk has made for that goal to Tavernier on the weekend for Bournemouth, why you need a player like a Kirkez type player to come in and be your number 2 to Andy Robertson or take the load away. Simicast just isn't good enough to give a 30-plus-year-old the break he needs, because Robertson shouldn't have had to put a uniform on Saturday. He should have been wrapped in cotton, but the manager had to bring him in to make sure we got the
fair. Who was the one who threw him under the bus for the yellow card? Somebody loses the ball and he gets that yellow card because he's kind of taking a professional foul. Was it Diaz? Was it Nunez?
No, it might have been Diaz coming back, doing one of those things where he starts dribbling into it.
Because somebody threw him under the bus. Like the yellow was not his error, more like a professional foul to cover up some. But yeah, he was very poor on the ball, off the ball, you name it, kind of thing. What was that?
He was poor. He was poor crossing the ball. Yes. He was poor one-on-one defending.
Yeah. 45 minutes. I can't think of a lot of like positive. Brian says it was Diaz. Mr. B says Mac gave us more corner. I think, we had a chat about this maybe like a month or two ago. And I asked you guys, you and Bickler, like who's the most important piece of this trio right there? Gravenberch, Mac, and Szoboszlai. And I remember I was saying Mac and you guys were saying Szoboszlai at the time, because we felt like all three of us felt like the guy we picked, there's nobody else who can do what they're doing. The more we see this team now, I think my answer is correct in games like this, where we're going to go against a low block. And I think against teams where we're going to have to get that running and win the ball and harass them in midfield and stuff, that's when you need Szoboszlai out there. But Mac's presence in that game also helps Trent. I mean, I was telling Matush this morning too. I almost felt bad for Trent because he was the only guy. Yeah, he's having like, you know, inaccurate passes, but he's the only one trying to do something to pass in between the lines and stuff like that. And he almost feels like, I think, when there was nobody else on there, that he has to be making that happen. The moment Mac came in, that load gets divided. Now Mac is moving with the ball, doing the passes and stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, really, if he started from the beginning, I know it's 2020, maybe like you start him, you put the game away, then you take him out kind of thing. But a lot of it had to do with the overall approach. And, you know, it's kind of disappointing. I know it's human nature. You want your guys to go out there and give 100% all the time. But we know the Champions League games, there sometimes you already kind of look ahead. So there is partially that, especially because you're up by like 83 points or whatever over Arsenal. And you're playing Southampton. So there were so many reasons to kind of look past the opponent that normally would not be there.
You're playing at home.
Yep.
And the crowd wasn't great. And I don't think that the 7-minute guy laying on the pitch looking like he might be knocked unconscious helps a crowd get up either. It's hard to be singing and screaming right after a guy gets concussed on the field. There was that whole weirdness of knowing you have 6 subs as well, which kind of changed all the numbers. Nobody knew, including the announcers, because they're like, they don't have any more subs. And then like, oh, wait, they do have more subs. Wait,
see, I was confused because I thought the 6th one was for concussion. Like you couldn't count your first one as the concussion. I thought if you already had your 5 and somebody had a head injury, you could sub them out and get your 6th sub. I didn't realize you could be like, we're using our concussion one, because that can really get abused.
Well, and then you automatically get like the other team gets a concussion sub too, which is what threw me off. Like,
I don't know, like you can go smack Costas up in the head if you want him.
I think Costas should have a concussion every time he plays. I'm surprised Virgil hasn't given him one yet. I thought he was going to give him one after he turned the ball over on the corner there. I will say the one thing I will say about Southampton, their manager, he may not be getting a lot right, but he got a lot right in this match of how to attack us and what they wanted to do. Like they were creating opportunities with their wide players, and both Dibbling, who is a very good young talent, 19-year-old on the right, and that Suleimane kid on the left. I mean, he's got pace on pace. I mean, talk about a kid who's going to be somewhere in the Premier League next year. And it probably won't be on the South Coast, because that kid, he caused some havoc. And I'll give Trent a lot of credit. All in all, Trent did a good job staying with him all day and never really letting him get behind him. Didn't let him, you know, he was a handful, but I thought he did a pretty good job on him all day. And, you know, on another day, Trent would have had a goal and an assist in this game. I mean, he should have scored early. You know, I thought we were a little wasteful from open play, but, you know, just get penalties and Mo just buries them.
Yeah, I mean, Diaz had a huge game. See, I thought in the first half, having Costas on your side doesn't help the cause. And I thought everybody, like he was playing by himself. It felt like he was the only one. You know, we talk about, you know, like passion and stuff like that. That dude just, and honestly, like he wins the 3rd penalty. He has the assist for the 1st goal. And I mean, he had a lot coming from that left-hand side. In the first half, he was kind of trying to do it by himself. Once Robertson came in, who had a good game, like you were saying, I think it made his job a lot easier too. Spencer says, gotta like that small one. Spencer has not seen a pun he hasn't liked. He was all over breast and all that kind of stuff. And yes, Discord, you can tell we have a lot of dads on Discord, because there were a lot of dad jokes with small bone over there. The only thing with a team like Southampton, like going back to what you're saying, they have all these players, but it's like 11 guys auditioning for next season as opposed to playing as a team. So, you know, like he has a tough job in managing that squad in terms of, you know, trying to play him as a team, because everybody at the end of the day is trying to, you know, put another thing in their resume.
You knew they were in trouble when they started making subs, and their answer to what was happening to them in the second half was to put Walker Peters in at wing, which is basically saying, I'm going to play with 2 right backs, just 1 right back in front of the other. Like they put 2 defenders. Like they were like, yep,
And
we're
he
taking
still
Tyler
walked by
Giblin
him,
off.
literally.
Like they were like, yep, this is how we're rolling here. But you are right. I mean, there are probably 4 Premier League players on that in that entire setup. You know, the Fernandez kid, Dibbling, Suleimane, and maybe Ramsdale, and maybe
Probably.
Walker Peters. I think Walker Peters is like a 4th or 5th defender at
Serviceable.
West Ham.
Yeah.
He belongs in the Premier League. But the good news for Southampton is you got Cameron Archer, which means you have 30 goals guaranteed in the championship.
Yes.
3 in the Premier League, 30 in the championship. That is a prototypical guy who should literally be on every promoted championship team. Then that team should sell him to a team in the championship who wants to get promoted.
Rinse and
He
repeat.
should have his own elevator back and forth between divisions.
Wade says Trent was playing like a senior pro. He did less running. You know what? I mean, everybody knows I don't give a lot of credit to Trent, especially when it comes to defending over here. And over the last, I said it after the PSG game, so I will give his props when they're due. He has been a lot better defensively. And I actually thought, you know, people were giving him crap. I was seeing it on social media in the first half for losing the ball. That was only because he was the only one trying to actually create something. And that's kind of tricky when there's not a lot of movement in front of you. But we win again, make it happen. It was just a matter of time. You could tell them when the second half started anyway. Comeback, penalties or not, 3-1 win. Next day, Arsenal lays another egg. So this is a pretty much done deal. So if we do keep advancing in the Champions League, it does really open up the door to be able to rotate as much as you want as you keep going over here and give some playing time to these guys and get some rest to the other guys. Which brings us to tomorrow. How hopeful are you about tomorrow? Or like, what are your feelings on tomorrow? Because
I feel good about advancing because we're coming home with a 1-goal lead. I do. I mean, we're playing at Anfield. I think that there was we played a little bit too respectful, in my opinion, the way we went about setting up in Paris. At the same time, they hit us with everything that they could hit us with.
Yeah.
And as much as I like the players, Barcola, Dembele, you know, the Mendes kid, the Hakimi, I mean, they are young, they're fast, Vitinha. I mean, they have some Neves. That is a good side. I don't care what anyone says. This is the best iteration of PSG yet. They have the best manager.
Because it's guys who work. Like, it's not just attackers. Those like wingers actually track back and play D and press and stuff like that. They made it really difficult to us. But here's the thing. I guess the biggest thing that we need to see is, I mean, that was part of the game plan to give them the ball, but not, you know, even Slot said not this far freaking back, right?
Of course.
But I guess the question is going to be, did they impose that on us? And I think we're going to find out the answer tomorrow in the first 10, 15 minutes there. Did they impose that on us by basically being more physical and better than our midfield? They looked fresher than our midfield? Or we kind of already had that game plan, and when you get that pressure on top of it, automatically you take 2 steps back when you already start kind of like defending. But I think tomorrow, how different of a game do you think we're going to see tomorrow? Or do we kind of like go with the same plan as the first game and say,
I don't
you
think
guys
we
have
can
to score, we don't?
I don't think we can go with the same plan as we did in Paris, because I think similar to when we went to Spurs, right, in the League Cup, in the first leg of the League Cup on the road, that looked to me like we were willing to play for a 0-0 draw. We just gave up a late goal. And we were like, shit, this sucks. We were playing for a 0-0 or a smash and grab, you know, not use too much energy, hold back. I feel like we took the same approach to Paris, except we played a team that is 3 levels ahead of Spurs.
Yes.
And they gave us their best game of the season. And I don't think that can get overlooked either. PSG has been much, much better, right? That's the same PSG team that lost 4-0 in the Champions League to, like, I forget what poor team it was. They got dismantled. Like, this is a PSG team that struggled to get out of that huge ass group because they weren't playing well. They are playing better now, but we got their best game. I really do believe they played their absolute best game, and in their best game, they couldn't score.
Yeah.
And I think playing at Anfield, needing multiple goals, and I think we get 2 tomorrow because I don't think their defense is that great, and I don't think their keeper is a top keeper, and I'm an Italian fan. I like the Italian setup, and I'm not a big Donnarumma guy. So I actually think we get a goal. I think the biggest key tomorrow is get the first goal. You get the first goal tomorrow, and I think this could end up a 3-1 win and a 4-1 on aggregate, and it feels a lot easier than it needs to be. I think you concede the first goal tomorrow, especially if it's early, and Dembele and Barcola and these guys' tails go up and they start running at our defenders. It could be a long afternoon. Yeah. I really do wish we hadn't needed everybody to play as much as they did. It would have been nice to have guys get more rest. But it almost looks to this point like the manager basically believes in 5 defenders, 4.5 midfielders, and 4 attackers. Yeah, and one of those 4 attackers is Nunez at this point. Yeah, and that lets you know. And I wouldn't be surprised if he starts tomorrow, but I'd have him on the bench. We'll get to the lineup, but I would start him from the bench, but maybe we go there next. And
yeah, let's go there first. I mean, really, that's the only question in this 11, right? Because Gakpo looks like he will be on the bench. There's no way he's starting Gakpo.
Shouldn't start.
No, I don't think so. I mean, he's not going to be putting it up there. I thought it was actually wiped out after the stage, Jamie, because Jamie says a few lads
you got to get through this one. You got to get through this stage, and it gets wiped out in the quarters.
So if you get another yellow, like if Van Dijk gets another yellow one, I think it's wiped out. Is it really? I thought it was getting wiped out when you went to the finals.
I think you have to survive this round, and then it gets wiped out, and you go back. I could be wrong.
Got to look into that. I mean, I'm sure if Jamie's saying that, I'm sure he's looked into it.
Jamie's got it more than us.
Yeah, Jamie's on top of his game. I don't know, like Jamie, double check that, man. Let us know. But yeah, because I thought it was the quarterfinal. It was getting wiped out, but it could be. Yeah, because I know Van Dijk got that, like the time wasting one. But when he got that, when they said it gets wiped out in the quarterfinals, I was like, oh, okay, good. It's not going to hurt us in the long run, kind of thing, because that would be.
But this isn't the quarterfinals. This is the round of 16.
But when you get to the quarterfinals, it gets wiped out.
I always thought it was the opposite. I thought it wasn't until the semifinals they get wiped out, because the only way you get suspended for the final is if you're sent off in the semifinal.
I got you. You guys, I mean, Jamie says he's right. He's double checked. So okay, so let's see. I like to say the back four fills itself. Goalie done. Midfield standard issue. So I guess really the only question is, like I say, we covered Gakpo. Diaz is probably on the left, right? You have time on the left. And then you have Mo on the right. Who is in the middle? Is it Jota? Is it Nunez? Is it Jones? Like, do you do that where you do the 4 again, so that you kind of conquer the midfield and don't let them get out in the first place? What do you do?
It was what I called for
the first game
at PSG, and he didn't do it. I thought Jones coming in helped that match and kind of gave us a little bit of a foothold. I thought helped in it. I don't know that he'll do it. The only way I think Jones starts is if for some reason he starts over one of the either Gravenberch or Szoboszlai, and it's purely that the manager just feels like they're dead, like they need a break. Because we also have a cup final on Sunday. Like there's a trophy on hand 4 days later. But to me, and I know tried and true supporters will not like to hear this, tomorrow's match is more important than Sunday.
Really, that's odd. I was actually asking that to Matush.
I know.
I'd be okay almost with if it was guaranteed that we're gonna win on Sunday. I'd be like, that's fine. I'll take the trophy.
Yeah, I want to continue in the Champions League.
But this is a long road still. But then, like you're saying, yeah, if that happens, what are we gonna do the next 2 months? Because the league is done. It looks like
it's a financial thing. I think it's a playing time thing. I think it's also like a mystique thing. And I honestly believe we're going to win Sunday no matter what the result is. And maybe Jones starts the League Cup final. Here's my thing. If I knew this was a 90-minute match, I think I would start Nunez because I think Nunez actually creates more havoc. I think if you ask Marquinhos right now, his 33-year-old old ass 5'8" center back frame, would you rather go up against Jota tomorrow or Nunez running at you and bodying you and dealing with him? He'd be like, I want no part of Nunez right now. I don't. And I just think of physical presence and like the way we match up. I think in this case, you have to plan for the fact that there could be 120 minutes in this match. And I think for that, you start Jota for two reasons. One, I have more faith in Nunez giving me 60 to 90 minutes if I need it from him.
Mm.
And I can't have faith in Jota giving me 91 minutes, let alone 120. Yeah. So with a less than fully fit Gakpo, a Diaz who deserves a break because he's played 90 plus minutes, what feels like every match for a month and a half. I almost feel like it's written in the stars. Jota starts. Nunez and Gakpo come in at some point in the second half. Mo plays every single minute. And the most common and known thing, write it in the stars, Chiesa will be on the bench and will end the match on the bench.
Yes, I don't think we're seeing that. Maybe we'll see. If you're winning easily, he comes in the last 5 minutes to get a Champions League sighting. But I think it's Jota because it's based on how you want to play, right? If you're going to say, you guys can have the ball and we're going to try to counter, I can see you starting Nunez because, you know, he's going to be a lot dangerous with those long balls. I mean, like we saw at the end of the game. But if we're really going for, no, we're home now, we're going to show you who dominates midfields and we're going to play our own game, we're going to keep the ball this time, I think that's when you start Jota.
I
And
agree.
based on what he's saying, it feels like that's what we're going to go for because he did underline in the press conference that, you know, yeah, but we're home now, like we're here. It's going to be a different game kind of a deal. So I think, see, Wade says next game is the most important game. Funny you say that actually, Wade, because I was watching the press conference and I never understand this where like there are people who do this for a living in that room asking them, is this like the most important? Like some of the questions that come in there is like, and that was like a beach ball question. Like they asked him and he was just like, he just like slammed that down. It was like, it is the most important game because it's the next game. Next kind of. And I was like, dude, like really, this is the question you went in there with? I can't wait for it to be my turn so I can ask.
Well, I was going to say, you wait and wait and wait. And they're like, press credential, young man in the Liverpool sweatshirt. Arn Slot, Chris Calvin from American Scouts TV. I have a question. Is tomorrow's game the most important game?
I've been waiting for this my whole life.
League Cup final? Have you started to think about what the League Cup final will look like? And he's like, well, we got Southampton tomorrow, son. And then we play on Tuesday in the Champions League. Now, I will say, I thought it was a little hyperbole and a little over the top when he tried to convince supporters that they had 3 finals this week. Southampton wasn't a final. It was just the final match.
You didn't even convince the team based on that first half. They were like, what?
Clearly.
Another game after Newcastle? They're like,
I'm surprised they weren't like, wait, we're actually playing today? I thought this was a training session. When do we run after this match?
Yeah, nobody bought that, I think. But, I mean, I know what he was saying in terms of, look, winning that game, especially, you know, maybe he was anticipating. I wasn't, to be honest with you. I thought Arsenal was going to kind of like smash United, but they couldn't even do that. So, you know, now the league is pretty much done, right? Almost. Even like a guy like me who's pessimistic, I don't want to say it's done, but it's almost done. It's like 99% done, right?
It's
so
done.
Now it's this. You win this, you go to the next round. Then you win the trophy and you keep going. It's a huge week in that sense. And yeah, I think you're right. If you weren't up 1-0, I'd be a lot less confident. But I do also think I have faith in this team. I think they were kind of embarrassed last week. I know we're like, oh, when you got to play, you got to be able to win even when you play bad and stuff like that. But I think they know they got outplayed and they got shown up, especially in midfield last week. So I expect them to, especially with Anfield behind them, to come out and make a point.
I expect Anfield to be up for this too. Like, there's certain times, right? There's certain clubs that come into this ground, and I feel like the supporters give a little more. And I know it sounds weird. Like, someone would say, like, oh, you mean like when Real Madrid comes? Like, they're always going to give a lot when Real Madrid's there. They're elite. They're the cream of the crop. But I think sometimes when clubs like PSG, like, remember the PSG tie when they had Neymar?
Yeah.
And Bobby scores the crazy late one and wins it in stoppage time. With the one eye, right? Because it was right after and we had just had the debacle against Spurs.
Yes.
Right? Like, we had just had the Lovren getting yanked after 30 minutes at Wembley. Like, and it was one of, like, the lowlights of the Klopp era was that day at Wembley. I mean, we were embarrassed by Spurs, 3-1, 4-1, but it was almost in some ways like Anfield, like the supporters in the Kop, like, people were like reminding PSG, like, your supporters, your players, you are not at our level. You are not this business. You don't have a big night at Anfield. You know what? Every once in a while, some pricks and thugs like the guys from Atletico Madrid come in here and smack us around and take us out, right? And you know, our good buddy just starts kicking balls out from the keeper position and clearing off his line. Adrian. But, like, I think the supporters they don't like it, but they can stomach moments like that. They don't want to lose a match like that to a PSG or to a Red Bull Salzburg, like to an RB
I know
Leipzig.
what you mean. Like, there's no brand name, if you will, or it's not a respected brand name.
You haven't earned this, and we're gonna not let you have. You won't get to have a European night, Dembele, at Anfield.
And I think, they were asking Slot about this, like, what the players said after the game and stuff like that, what the PSG player were saying about Liverpool and all that, the locker room material and stuff, and how it, like, affects the players. And, he kind of downplayed it and all that, but it might not affect the players. But I think things like that actually affect the fans more, who are going to be at the game and be like, and you talk smack on top of that, kind of a deal. Like, we'll show you kind of an attitude. And then that's why I think when you go into the game like that, we'll show you what's what. We'll show you what Anfield is. You don't play like you did over there for the counter. Like, Brian was saying, like, we played for the counter. It's going to be different tomorrow. I think it will be different tomorrow because, it's home now and we're there to prove a point, it feels like. And, like you were saying, the first goal is key, because if we get that first goal, I think they know they're not getting 3. So then you can kind of, like, take that off and, like, really go off on them and stuff like that. Score one and you don't concede within the first 5 minutes of scoring one. I think that game can go south for PSG fast.
And it's funny, we've talked about it before. I don't love the removal of the away goals because I used to like the mechanics of things, and it forced teams to come out. And let's be real, I like the away goals purely because of the drama it created in second legs, usually when my team wasn't involved. Let's be real. The neutral in me liked away goals. The Liverpool supporter in me wishes away goals count it right now because we're up 1-0
in the post match the other day.
But I actually wonder if we're better off without away goals being a factor, because I think the idea that if away goals were a factor, then we'd know if we score 1, they need 3.
Yeah.
But the mindset then, I think, just changes the way you go about it. What I like about the removing of the away goals is it does lead to, like, it is always just a 1 goal or 2 goal. Like, there's not this crazy, like, but we also need a 3rd or a 5th or, because let's be real, this is what it was why we really believed the whole Barcelona thing was impossible.
Yes, because we
were not only down 3-0, we didn't score on the road. So it was like, we have to win 4-0. All
I know
they
we were
needed.
talking about this the other day, and I don't think I understand the idea behind the away goal thing, but it never worked. It just, and I think it almost got worse initially when it was there in the past. You did see the away teams trying to snag a goal because it was so big, but it just became to the point where now the away team is still playing D. And now the home team is afraid to concede that away goal. So they're actually attacking all paranoid about the away goal. So it became even cagier. Like the whole point was for the away team to come out more because there's a huge incentive for scoring. But I felt like it just made it 10 times worse because the away team still said, hey, if we scored, it's a bonus. We're going to sit back. And the home team could never go all in an attack because they were afraid of like an away goal coming, which would turn everything upside its head. Like I say, the concept behind it and like why they did it was good. I just don't think it's materialized at the end, like when you watch games. And as Serzi was complaining about, it created a lot of additional math for people that probably they didn't want to deal with.
Well, that's 100%, but that has a lot to do with the fact that the most math Serzi can get done during a major Liverpool European match is how many doing the math on the blood pressure medications and whether or not he is going to overdose if he continues to take them.
Well, it's a whole new Serzi with the Ramadan. Maybe those pills were actually having a reverse effect because now he's a lot more relaxed than everything like that. Yes, maths is right. Okay, on our way out, let's leave with some predictions. Obviously, we're going to be in. This schedule is in effect starting tomorrow, but we will be here for the pre-match and post-match. Obviously, say match day. Give me your prediction for tomorrow.
I'm going to say we win tomorrow 3-1 and we finish this thing 4-1.
Okay. I'm going with the 2-0 win tomorrow. The slot special, if you will. And wrapping things up and getting ready for the final. Newcastle just played today as well. So it's not like they're going to be a lot more rested going in there. And yeah, I mean, we're kind of like out of time in terms of like analyzing that, but once we are celebrating the PSG game rest of the week, we have to kind of look ahead to the final and stuff like that and add another trophy. Hopefully by the end of this week we'll have one trophy, 99% there, and then hopefully the other one in progress, simmering, if you will. 4-1 says Mr. B. I'll take that in a heartbeat. Brian is going with the 2-1. But like I say, if we score the first goal, I feel like, you kind of...
I'll take a 0-0 draw, people, just so we're clear.
Nah, that's a heart attack waiting to happen. So
I'll still take it as long... I'm telling you,
I'll tell me
right now, if you tell me right now, final whistle, I'm shaking
my
hand.
I'll take it any day. Let's just get to the next round and see what's up. And we get Villa in the next round, most likely, if things stay the way they are. But, so, tune in tomorrow. If you have not liked it already, subscribe, do all those things, all those buttons on the bottom if you're on YouTube. And then we will be back, like I said, tomorrow before the game once the lineups are announced for the pre-match. So have a great evening, I guess. It's really late at this point, but we'll see you guys tomorrow as we get to the next round in the Champions League, baby. Take care, everyone.